throughout the years, and to thank my dear brother, Musa Faki, Monique, Zanzibar Ganwa, and all the ACFT Secretariat, Regional Economic Communities, Outer Nepal, Africa CDC, and others. Under my tenure, Mr. President, we fully align the African Development Bank to the Agenda 2063. Over the past 10 years, the work of the African Development Bank has impacted over 550 million people, including 231 million women. Lives are being transformed across the continent. 127 million people got access to better services in terms of health. 61 million people got access to water. 33 million people got access to improved sanitation. 46 million people with access to ICT services, and over 45 million people with access to electricity. And as you know, electricity is our main issue, and that's why we organized the African Development Bank and the World Bank Mission 300 to connect 300 million Africans to electricity by 2030. I would like to thank Her Excellency President Samia Suluhu Hassan of Tanzania and President Mohamed Ould Ghazouani for having co-chaired this. I'd like to inform the Assembly that we mobilized $55 billion from the World Bank, African Development Bank, and all of our partners. The declaration of that summit is signed by 48 countries and is before Your Excellency for consideration and approval. Your Excellency, I would like to say that the African Development Bank accelerated food production in Africa. Over 101 million people became food secure, and we mobilized $72 billion to implement food and agricultural delivery compacts across the continent. In terms of women access to finance, our affirmative finance action to women has provided $2.5 billion to 24,000 women-owned businesses all across Africa. We are ramping up support for young people, and we are setting up youth entrepreneurship investment banks across Africa. Our goal is simple: create youth-based wealth all across Africa. And as you know, the bank is very strongly supportive on health. We have provided now a program of $3 billion investment in quality healthcare infrastructure and another $3 billion in terms of building Africa's pharmaceutical capacity. The bank is invested heavily in infrastructure, and we spent $55 billion on infrastructure in the last 10 years alone. And we have become the largest multilateral financier of infrastructure in Africa. We set up Africa 50 to raise over $1 billion, and the Alliance for Green Infrastructure that has mobilized $10 billion of investment for green infrastructure. Your Excellencies, the Africa Investment Forum that we set up together with our partners has mobilized over $200 billion of investment interest to Africa. The Africa Financial Stability Mechanism, which we were asked to develop with the African Union, has been developed, and the report is before you. Excellencies, this will provide at least $20 billion in debt refinancing for African countries. To fast-track Africa's development, together with the AU Commission, we developed and presented the Inclusive Growth Study. It is before Your Excellencies for approval. Your Excellencies, I'd like to say also in terms of green wealth, Africa cannot be rich in natural resources and be cash poor. And that's why we developed the Green Wealth Strategy for Africa. The report of that from COP29 of our heads of state is before you for consideration and adoption. As I close, Your Excellency, Mr. President, in my 10 years at the bank, we have done a lot. The capital of the bank increased from $93 billion in 2015 to $318 billion today. Over the past 10 years, we have turned the African Development Bank into a globally respected financial institution. We have maintained our AAA stellar ratings. The African Development Bank was named the best multilateral financial institution in the world. For 2 consecutive years, the African Development Bank was rated as the most transparent financial institution in the world. This is a great legacy for Africa. May Africa's light shine even brighter in the years ahead. I would like to thank my dear brother Musa Faki as he leaves for his incredible leadership, and Monique for her excellent support, and all the commissioners. I stand here today just to say it's been my greatest honor to serve you and to serve Africa. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Shukran, asante sana, mucho obrigado.